part 2 of me reacting to this video about why people dislike introverts.
Sitting there calm and unreadable, that makes the situation itself feel kind of unbalanced. The insecure mind fills the gaps. You might think that they're better than me, that they're judging everyone, or that they're stuck up. And none of it's true, because insecurity doesn't care about the truth, it cares about comfort. Introverted people don't rush to reassure people, they don't constantly signal approval, and they don't over-explain their intentions. The lack of reassurance becomes threatening to people who need it the most. There's also this power dynamic that people don't talk about, and silence holds a lot of power. The person who talks less often controls the pace of the conversation. They decide when to respond, and they don't reveal all their cards. People don't like when they can't read you. If they can't predict you, they can't control how they're perceived. So they label you instead as you're antisocial, maybe you're awkward, or you're cold. And labels are a way to reduce uncertainty. It's easier to dismiss an introvert than to accept that not everyone exists to entertain you. Everybody has this main character syndrome thing. The irony is that introverts are often deeply empathetic. They notice tone shifts, they pick up on tension, and they remember some of these details that people don't remember. They just don't express care in loud, visible ways. They show it through presence, through listening, and through being consistent. But those things are invisible in a culture obsessed with performatism. If that's a word. Obsessed with performance. Whatever. If you don't post it, say it, or announce it, it might as well not exist. And introverts don't announce themselves. That's why they're often misunderstood at work, too. They don't speak unless they have something worth saying. They're not the guys that dominate meetings. They don't self-promote themselves. They don't self-promote themselves aggressively.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, okay. So they get overlooked. Not because they're incapable at their job, but because they don't advertise confidence. And when someone doesn't advertise themselves, people assume that there's nothing there. Which is wild when you think about it. Because some of the most thoughtful, strategic people are introverts. They just don't shout hate. People also dislike introverts because introverts don't chase approval from other people. They're okay being by themselves. They don't need constant social reinforcement, and they're okay sitting with themselves. That independence triggers people who rely on external validation. If you don't need the group itself feels less powerful. So instead of admiring that independence, people punish it socially. They exclude, they mock, and they label. It's subtle, but it's real. Now the part that introverts need to hear, you're not disliked because something is wrong with you. You're disliked because your presence disrupts how people regulate themselves emotionally. And that is not your job to fix. You don't owe anyone.
Yeah, it's really not.
You don't owe constant enthusiasm, and you don't owe fake warmth to anybody to make them comfortable. The right people don't need you to perform. They'll respect silence, your insight, and they'll respect the fact that you understand that depth doesn't always announce itself. And the people who dislike you for being introverted, well, they were never responding to you in the first place. They were responding to the fact that they are uncomfortable in themselves. Silence isn't a flaw. Calm isn't arrogance, and distance isn't rejection. Sometimes it's just someone who knows themselves well enough not to.
But yeah, you basically get the idea. Like that's I'm just the kind of person, being an introvert. I just resonated with everything he said. Because people just, they want to, a lot of times people with introverts, they try to like push you, or they try to like get you to engage. And, you kind of just got to let us engage when we feel like engaging. And again, we're going to talk of quality. We're not just going to say, oh, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like, no, we're not those people. We're not those people. So, yeah, it's just we're just really misunderstood by a lot of people. I mean, it's just people think, oh, well, you're so quiet, you're standoffish, you're cold, you're whatever. Like, a lot of people, and you just because they're uncomfortable with silence and trying to sit there and think about things, they kind of project that onto us. And it's happened a lot of times. I've been in a lot of situations. Like, I'm kind of upset he didn't talk about anything about at work, but I know specifically at work, being an introvert, I'm just like, I don't, I'm not here to like be enemies with my coworkers, but I'm also not here to be best friends with my coworkers. I will be cordial with you. I will talk to you about anything work related when it's necessary. But, you know, for the most part, I just like to do my job and keep to myself. And there's been jobs where like that seems to be a problem for like the people that can't handle that. They just like, oh, this person, he doesn't get involved, he's quiet, whatever, you know, they just can't leave well enough alone, and they just want to like start saying all these things to me, and or saying things about like if you don't give them anything, some people, they'll just start making up things about you, and they run wild with all that. And it's like, so most introverts, we're very observant in situations, we're kind of guarded, we're just kind of trying to get a feel of the people and the environment, and we're big into people's energy. Like we can see beyond words, we can see actions. That's another thing, I don't know if he mentioned that or not, like there's a lot of people, you know, they tend to just, you know, say words a lot, or like it's like, all I'll explain is I can see when somebody's actually sorry or wanting to be better, and if they're just saying words, empty words that mean nothing. Like they keep saying the same words, but their actions aren't showing it. And I noticed that with people, and you know, words are not going to really fool me. If your actions aren't meeting your words, I pick up on that, and I I just try to deal with you however I need to deal with you, give you as little as I need to give you, and I just go accordingly. I'm just gonna read some comments. As an introvert, okay, they didn't really say anything. Honestly, if people hate me for being an introvert, they can cope and seethe. Everyone asking, why are you so quiet? No one asking, why are you so loud? Oh my goodness, yes, yes. Or like when people, especially coworkers, when you always, I've had it several, especially at one job. It was my first job. I worked at a veterinary clinic. I did the kennels, and there was this veterinary assistant. I don't even think she was a technician, but she was like a veterinary assistant, and she just constantly was like talking about her like baby daddy drama, like all her family drama, and I'm just like, I don't really care about this. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to sound rude, but I really don't care. It's none of my business. Your personal life is not my business. Just like my personal life is none of your business, and I don't really go much into my personal life with most of my coworkers. And you know, when you don't do that, they just tend to be like, oh well, what's wrong with you? They take it as an offense, and it's like, I categorize my life, and you know, I like to keep my work life and my personal life, I like to keep those two things very separate. I don't mix those for good reason. And she would just always start talking about her drama, and I just got to a point where I just kind of like started walking away, because I'm like, I don't really want to deal with this, you know, it's making me uncomfortable, you talking about your personal stuff. I'm not that kind of person. And it just got to a point where I mean, she was never really trying to get me to divulge my stuff, but you know, that's your personal stuff. That's none of my concern, really. Respectfully. Why are you so quiet? Because even if we talk, you'll constantly interrupt us. With the internet, I learned how people really are, so I prefer being alone. Hating introverts is mental. They really just keep to themselves. Yeah. That one's rather lengthy. I don't know if I'm going to read it. I don't know if it's good. I'll just cut this off and continue in the next video.